So there's the early postmenopausal stage that is still a little bit like a tornado. It can be a tornado with a lot of symptoms. But then 6 years after the final menstrual period, that's the late postmenopausal stage, which is the stage that a woman will live into for the rest of her life. That stage varies. And that I find is really interesting. For many women, the symptoms like hot flashes, the night sweats, the mood changes, the brain fog tend to go away over time.
I've got a graph that I'll put on the screen that shows how brain fog changes over time. And as you can see, it's kind of like a U shape. So there's no brain fog, and then it goes, you have severe brain fog, and then the brain fog seems to recover, not to the same height as it was before menopause, but post-menopause, which is I'm guessing where it recovers there.
This is post-menopause. Okay. So this is cognitive function, right? It's nice and high before menopause, then it takes a dip during the transition, then it goes typically back up. For a few women, it would be up here. So it goes back to premenopausal levels, cognitive function. For most women, it's a little bit lower than it used to be, but still pretty good.
This is good news.
Yes, that is good news. Absolutely. But for other women, it's not. It keeps going down. It keeps declining. And that's why a lot of women come to us at the Alzheimer's Prevention Clinic, because they're really scared that that may be a sign of early dementia.
Is there any reason why some women's brain fog doesn't return back to normal levels post-menopause?
We are looking at that right now.
Is this also why you're prepping?
Yes. Actually, it's the study that we have under review that I believe is the first to look at brain correlates of menopausal brain fog. So as far as I know, this is the first study that shows that there are very specific changes in the brain that strongly associate with having or not having brain fog. That is the first step to then clarifying why certain women have it and certain women don't have it, and how can I make it better, right? Is it hormones? Is some other kind of therapy? How can I reverse it? How can I prevent it?
So this brings us back to this conversation around prepping. You're in this phase of life where you're prepping. Why does exercise matter for menopause?
So exercise matters for everything from hormonal health to brain health to heart health, because everything is interconnected, right? We are effectively a system where every part of you needs to be healthy for you to feel healthy as a person. For both menopause and brain health, we know that physical activity stimulates the production of certain proteins that can travel all the way inside your brain, and they're also made inside the brain that support neuronal health, from growth hormones to very specific peptides that have a boosting functionality. And for menopause in particular, all exercise is good, but cardiovascular activity seems to be especially helpful for the hot flashes and the brain fog, where strength training seems to be more helpful to preserve metabolic activity and bone mass, but also mood. It supports mood. And flexibility exercises and mind-body techniques like yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, those are helpful not just for flexibility, but also for stress reduction and sleep. So it's good, if possible, to do a little bit of everything. And if time is a constraint, then it's helpful to know the different types of exercise may be especially helpful for one thing or another.
There's a study in your book, I think in chapter 13, where you case study I don't think it was a study you did, around the Latin women, 3,500 Latin women.
I mean, but wonderful study, wasn't it?
And it showed that those who engage in regular to moderate intensity exercise were almost 30% less likely to have severe hot flashes than those who exercised less.
Yeah.
Which is a really compelling argument for exercise in that phase of life. And there's some other sort of related information that I read that said that women in their 40s are the highest demographic group to exercise inconsistently or not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we know exercise is great for that phase of life.
And we also know that women have no time.
Is that what it is? Is it a timing issue typically?
For most women, it's a combination of factors. I think midlife is a bit of a it's a turbulent time when you're sandwiched in between a lot of different responsibilities. If you have maybe young children and older parents and you're trying to maybe get a career advancement, and you also want to take care of your health, and then boom, you get hormonal changes in menopause. So it is a bit of a, it's a different age to navigate in some ways. And what a lot of women report is that, one, they have no time to take care of themselves. And number two, sometimes the reasons are outside of your control, like this fatigue that so many women report, the lack of sleep, or that is a bit of an issue when it comes to feeling energized enough to also go to the gym. So there are some barriers, and I think it's good to be creative if you can, right? And also realize that you don't have to wear fancy clothing. You don't have to go to the gym. It's good enough to go for a walk in the park. Just keep your body moving.
Is there a certain type of exercise that is too much? Can you do too much exercise? Because I don't want people that are listening to this now that are in that phase of life to just suddenly start running marathons every single day or something, thinking that they'll be able to stave off menopause.
I think that's actually what most people hear when you say exercise is really good for you, and they see themselves like, oh my God, I have to join the gym and just work out 3 hours a day. That's not what the research shows.
Because your cortisol levels would go up as well.
Yes, it may happen. And also your recovery time may increase, especially after menopause. But what studies have shown is that in this case, there's an inverted U-shape relationship between intensity of exercise and health gains. And I'm not talking about fitness or muscle mass. I'm thinking about overall health, how healthy you actually are as a whole. And what the research in women, especially women who are recently postmenopausal, so 50s, 60s, what the research shows that if you don't exercise at all, obviously there's no gains. But as soon as you start, even just in mild intensity, the gains start increasing. And the peak of the curve is for a moderate intensity regimen at high frequency.
Which is
you work out in a way that brings some pink to your cheeks, and you may have a hard time singing, but you won't have a hard time talking. So your heart rate goes up, but not so high up that you can't breathe, basically, actually. And there's different intensity intervals, of course. Rich Roll he said to me, this is what professional athletes call zone 2. So zone 2, everyone. But if you increase the intensity a lot more, the gains actually start diminishing after menopause, which is not universal. There's plenty of women who can do beautiful things physically. But on average, what that suggests is that just do the best that you can. Try to shoot for this zone 2 or moderate intensity exercise. Just do it often enough that the gains are consistent.